You are listening. Happy, healthy, successful Kleesman.
So, today we're talking about how you can use the media in the marketing. And can you say how different is media in different countries?
Well, it's more like the similarities, right? I mean, the same principles will apply whether you're using media in UK as you're using in Estonia. And of course, media has evolved. It's evolving very, very rapidly, with social media. It's the same principles apply. It's simply a question of there are different networks that people use, or which are in different languages, right? The key thing is that if you're going to put media out, you have to put it out in English. You can't get away with putting it out in your local language and think that that's going to work, right? And you have to put it out in your local language and English, right? Because otherwise, half the world is not seeing it, right? Yeah, so that's the main thing.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And do you think media is a good way to get your name out there?
Well, you're going to have to specify the question. Obviously, that's true. Media. I mean, that the answer to that is yes. But I mean, you're going to have to ask me a more specific question.
Well, let's say, there's multiple ways of getting out there, and you can get in a good way or in a bad way. In terms of, you can, for example, if we take journalism, right? You can just post some really controversial articles to get popular, or to get people talking about you.
Well, you've got to have a goal with the media. I mean, if you're trying to make money, then you have to. If you're trying to sell a product, right? And that product might be yourself, right? Or it might be something that you're selling. You might be selling an accountancy service, or you might be selling insurance, or you might be selling woolly jumpers. It doesn't matter. You need to know what your product is that you're selling, right? If it's yourself or if it's something else, and then you have to think of a strategy. How do I get people to buy this product? That's what media is there for, right? And that's what social media is there for. Now people have the tools to market themselves with social media in a way that wasn't possible before. Before you'd have to advertise, but now you can use social media to advertise whatever the product is that you're selling, right? And the example I would give would be that for the first 5 years that I was in Estonia, I was marketing myself. I was selling myself, trying to get not money but votes, right? And I understood that, right? That I'm actually marketing myself by writing or putting stuff out in social media, or writing in mainstream media, right? And marketing myself as a potential person who people could vote for, right? But it didn't look like that way, right? Because it was like I was writing about this issue, or I was writing about that issue, and it seemed like you're writing about this issue that somebody is interested in, but actually what you're doing is you're marketing something else, and that's how you use it as a tool. So, for example, if you were selling an accountancy service, then you might want to set up a social media platform around, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, which is based around finance, right? And so people would ask for, go there to find out financial advice. But actually, what you are actually selling is your accountancy service, and it's not that clear unless somebody's studying it. Oh, that's what they're actually selling, right? And that's how you use it.
Mm-hmm. So is it then in this way? Is it better if you actually hide it more, that you are actually marketing?
Well, you don't have to hide it. I mean, it's not. It shouldn't be. It's not like you're hiding it. It's simply that it's an add-on to what is actually the product that you're selling, right? Sometimes it can be quite the opposite. If you look on YouTube and you look at video vloggers, they are selling products. That's what they're doing, right? Most of them, and most of the time, that's what they're doing. And they will stop in the middle of the video and then sell a product that's unrelated to what it is that they're talking about, right? And sometimes they will do a very nice switch into the product that they're selling. So, for example, if you look at someone like Simon Whistler, who's a well-known YouTuber, and he will stop in the middle of the video and say, "Today I want to talk about Brilliant," which is a learning platform. And because people are going to Simon Whistler to find out information, education, he said, if you're interested in education, you wouldn't be here, right? Because that's what we do on this site. We do biographies of famous people. We do today I found out this, right? So if you're interested in learning, then which you are because you're here, then you can learn more by going to Brilliant. Right? And so that's the product he's selling. So it's related to what he's selling, and he's not even hiding it, right? But that's how he makes his money, right? By selling this product, right? Obviously, he also gets subscription, Patreon donations, and ad revenues, ad revenues. But sponsoring him. So that's how you do it, right? So yeah, if you've got an interesting idea, something that you think can make you money, then you need to find someone who's going to sponsor that, which is related to whatever it is that you are interested in talking about.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and which would be better in a beginning to more focus on yourself and showing yourself to people and market yourself, or focus straight up on your product? For example, of course it doesn't apply maybe to everything, but let's take music, like it's maybe the most easiest example. Like should a musician maybe focus on showing himself and letting people know about himself, and then they will be interested in music, or showing them the music and then maybe they will be interested also in person? Which way would it work better? Because you can advertise your music or you can advertise yourself.
Well, nowadays you can advertise yourself to sell your music. You can do that, right? I mean, that wouldn't, that wouldn't have been true even 5 or 10 years ago, but there are a lot of YouTube content creators who are doing music, and I watch them to find out more about that person, their life history, or what they're doing, less for their music, right? Because sure, if I watch somebody like Rick Beato or Mary Spender, or any of these Paul David, or any of these music YouTube content creators, some of them are very, very good musicians, but I'm not watching Rick Beato to watch him play music because I already know how to play, right? I'm watching him because he's had an interesting life history. But it's not just himself he's selling. I mean, he will talk about music in general, right? So he will take a song and deconstruct it, and say, why is this song good? And it's interesting to watch somebody deconstructing a song in that way. So sure, sometimes he's selling himself, but sometimes he's also selling information. He's giving information that you didn't know, or that you may know, but it's told in a different way. But at the end of the day, he's also, the product he's selling is the courses he's selling, and the courses he's selling, and teaching people how to play music, or showing them how to master music better. And of course, someone like Mary Spender is also a singer-songwriter, right? So she's selling her music, specifically her music, right, as well as selling herself, right, and selling her opinions, right. So you can sell yourself. You won't maybe not even be able to say that 5-10 years ago, but definitely you can sell yourself, and through selling yourself, selling your music. Right? I think it's probably better to sell your opinions about something, right, than to sell yourself, right? Because most people aren't that interesting, but some people are very interesting, right? And they have had very interesting life histories, right? Certainly, Rick Beato has a very interesting life history, and it's very interesting to hear about his how he came up and how he developed as a producer. But most people are not really that interesting. Well, I don't think I am. But you can sell your opinion about something that you know something about, right? And that's a better way to do it, right? Because if it's something that you are an expert on or you develop an expertise on, right, people will be interested to hear that.
Okay. And since lately, obviously, the self-marketing is a thing, and pretty much anyone can do it. And also, especially if you're from some bigger countries where there's more people, how should one stand out between all the rest when they start out marketing? What should they do to be better than others?
Go to a smaller country? No, I'm serious. I mean, because nowadays you can live just about anywhere, right? And you can be earning a livelihood in one country, but you'll be living in another, right? And if you are in a big country like the UK or United States, you are dealing with pretty well a perfect market. Anything you're trying to do, there are other people also doing or trying to do the same thing, right? And there will be thousands of people or hundreds of thousands of people, maybe not hundreds of thousands, but certainly tens of thousands of people trying to do the same thing. So if you go to a smaller market, right, if you go to a country where people are smaller, then you can maybe make stand out in that way, right? Because it's less competitive, right? Because the country is smaller, right? And so you can be earning a livelihood doing something else while you're trying to develop whatever business you're trying to develop.
But still, if your focus is, let's say, more international, does it really make any difference to move to a different country? If you still come to another country, let's say from bigger one to a smaller one, but still your focus...
It depends what your business is, what line of business you are in. I mean, you've got to be specific. What line of business are you in? I mean, if you're in a line of business that is international, you can still be in a smaller country, right? I mean, I know people who are running legal services here from Estonia, but all their clientele is in the United States, right? I know people who are running accountancy services, and all their clientele is in other countries, and they're living. I know people working in who are working for newspapers based in North America who are living in Israel, right? The size, if you want to make some kind of a dent, you can do it on a local level, and then you can do it on an international level. But it makes life easier if you are in a smaller country or in a country which is not as large.
Okay. And maybe going back to your journalism, what do you say? How much could you trust one journalist in his articles?
Sometimes I say not at all. I mean, whenever a journalist has done an interview with me, there's always been two types of mistakes, right? The first mistake is unforgivable, which is when they make a factual mistake, right? And they didn't check back with you, and they make some kind of like factual mistake about, who you are, where you're from, or, for example, I had a journalist write an article about me, and he said I went to a Catholic school. Well, I actually went to an Anglican school, which is kind of like the opposite of a Catholic school, right? And so that kind of thing, is unforgivable from a journalism point of view. But the other type of thing is that there's a lot of fake news or bad journalism around, and journalism has become more about opinions, right? More and less about actually telling the news or telling what's happening. Right? And I've had hit pieces on me, right? Which are not very nice and was simply not true, and I don't, despite being a journalist, I don't trust every journalist I meet, though there are good journalists out there.
Okay. And maybe could you, if for example, again, the creators would be watching it, could you give any advice to creators? For example, it doesn't have to be video or music, right? It can be any, because in Estonia, for example, we have a lot of small businesses creating their own handcraft stuff. Can you have any advice to them? How could they market themselves better?
Well, it's the same thing. If you're doing like handcrafts or that sort of thing, then if you're doing social media, then you should do social media, which is writing about that subject in general, not just about your product, right? So, the example, if you're making woolly jumpers, right, then you can talk about the climate in northern countries. You can talk about the environment. You can talk about sheep, where these jumpers come from, or whatever it is, or about the history. And put little things up on social media that people want to read about these types of things. But actually, what you're selling is woolly jumpers, right. And so it's not, it's not maybe not that clear at first if you read an article on the history of knitwear in the Hanseatic Union, right? The Hanseatic League, I should say. That actually this person is selling their woolly jumpers, but that's the way to do it, right? Yeah, and it should be in English, obviously, right? Because you want to reach the widest audience possible. If you can have it in other languages, great, but English will do. Put it into as many avenues, many streams as possible. Use pictures. If you can take pictures yourself, that's great. But if you have to get them from another source, make sure that they are good quality. And just put stuff out. So, if somebody is selling woolly jumpers, it's great if they've got pictures of their woolly jumpers, right? But if they've got, a panoramic view of Tallinn, or they've got a picture of medieval of a medieval costume with wool involved in that, right? And then that's on Instagram, and that's on Twitter, or that's on Facebook, or wherever you need to put your social media content. That's a lot more powerful than just trying to sell woolly jumpers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, because I've seen around a lot of pages, let's say on Instagram, with really cool handcraft. I don't know, wooden tables that are really unique, and the pictures are great. But you see that most of them have less than 1,000 followers, less than 500 followers, and you even know maybe that quality is amazing, because some of them I know personally, and I know that they're actually delivering good product. But it's just that for some reason during 2 years they haven't actually evolved that much in social medias.
Yeah, You need to have an emotional connection with your buyers or your customers, right? You need to find a way to connect to them on an emotional level, right? For them to buy your product. That's what you need to do, right? And so you can do that through pictures, or you can do that through text, or you can do that through video. But it has to be, something emotional. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how actually did you learn about marketing itself?
The same way I learned about music. I'm self-taught.
Mm-hmm. And did it take a long time to feel confident in this field?
Well, I would say that you're never fully confident, right? Because this field is constantly shifting, right? So there are always new things that you need to learn, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Maybe at what stage did you think that, oh, now I should start learning marketing actually?
I think everybody needs to learn marketing. Right? I think it's something that is absolutely necessary in the modern world, because ultimately, even if you go for something like a job interview, you're selling yourself, right? So you need to market yourself, right? And everybody needs to go for a job interview at some point, right? So it's not something that you can just say, I'm not going to learn it, right? It's something that everybody needs to learn, right? So I don't think there was a start date when I said I'm going to learn marketing. No, it doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So pretty much you would say that nowadays being a freelance marketing specialist is a way to go. It's quite easy to become.
Well, it's not easy, right?
I mean, you don't have to go, to university to get the proper experience. You can actually be a self-taught and be successful.
I think that's true. But some people are very, very, very good at being good at it. They're really, really, really good at it, right? Yeah. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. One guy who's absolutely brilliant at marketing. It would be Blippy, the children's entertainer. He's a superb marketer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and maybe from a client's perspective, do you think that if you do have a degree finished in some university that you studied marketing, would the client be more trustful towards you?
I don't know. That I won't pretend to answer questions that I don't know about. The only thing I wouldn't talk about would be, which is marketing isn't really my field. I know something about it, as most people do nowadays, and certainly anybody working in media, whether it's social media or in journalism, will know something about marketing. But I can speak from experience as an former editor of a newspaper, that when I was getting CVs from journalists, people who wanted to work as reporters, right? And I was looking for reporters. You would have thought that someone who's gone to journalism college, right, and has got a degree in journalism or something like that would know what they're doing, and I often found that wasn't true, right? I was getting a copy from people who'd been to journalism college, right, for 4 years, and they can't even write. They don't know how to punctuate. And it's like, what the hell are you doing in 4 years? So it doesn't work like that. I think sometimes you have to learn things on the job, but I can't speak for some marketing degrees might be excellent, right? And but I have never had to work as a HR manager for someone who's got a marketing degree. So I don't know. I can't answer that question, but I can say that in my field, which is journalism, you don't need to go to journalism college to become a journalist. It doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nowadays maybe I also see a trend that we are shifting towards more freelancers, and people are not going that much to the university anymore after they finish high school, just because they know that they can actually gain experience and get more successful with that, neither actually finishing university. So yeah, I was just curious what do you think about it as well?
Well, I think that's been true a long time. If you look at Steve Jobs and people like that, they didn't finish university, right? So
yeah, totally.
Mm.
Yeah, I guess it's just gives people more trust in you if you have finished something that you're selling, But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for now. Thank you, Abdul, and it was really interesting and very useful conversation. I learned something, and it was really good to listen to you. And everybody's really welcome to participate in our training, and you can always find more information on kleesman.com. And thank you once again. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Okay. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
You were listening Happy, Healthy, Successful Kleesman. You can find more information on our website kleesman.com.